What's up guys, this is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review I am very happy to show you the DC Collectibles DC Icons FIRESTORM figure. I know a lot of you are very excited to see this figure, and with good reason. It does look awesome. If there's one thing you guys know I like about action figures, it's clear plastic. And if there's another thing, it's varying finishes in the paint. This guy has both, so I'm very pleased. And on top of that, it's a really solid figure with some cool accessories. So we have a lot to talk about, and it's gonna be a pretty cool figure for most of you, so I think we should just get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 18 centimeters to the top of the flame, which makes him probably closer to about 16 centimeters to the top of where his actual head would be. That makes him just about 7 to the flame and about 6 1/4 to the top of where his head would be, maybe a little bit less. So yes, they are smaller than your average 6-inch figures. That's nothing new. We expected that. And like I said in the beginning of the video, this guy looks fantastic. We have the metallic red here, some slightly metallic yellow throughout, most of the yellow in fact. Actually, all of the yellow is that slightly metallic. Then we have the white that's kind of pearly, the dark red that's kind of pearly, the flat red lining that goes all the way around the figure, a little bit of black. Very, very cool, very appealing. Lots of shelf appeal to this guy. I like it a whole bunch. And then we have the head, which has that really awesome translucent plastic. That flame looks great. It could have more shading. I've heard some people say that it doesn't look right. You know, it's okay. It's not 100% perfect, but I like it a whole lot. And then we have a little bit of shading throughout on that little headband thingy, whatever you want to call that, so that's okay. And then we have the eyes that are painted with that dot matrix, the tampography, and it looks pretty good as long as you don't get too close. So overall, the aesthetic of the figure is really nice. All of this red line work throughout the figure is sculpted in. Obviously the white and red spots are sculpted. Same thing with the black. Everything is sculpted on this guy, so it's very nice. Now in terms of accessories, we don't have a whole bunch, but we have what I think is enough. Now we have a total of 4 hands. We have the 2 standard fist hands that come on the figure, and then we have 2 translucent open hands or style pose hands. And to go with those, we have the energy effects that replace the forearms. They all just unpeg and then swap out. And you can of course interchange them however you like, and they are indicated, or they do have indication on them, which is for the right arm and which is for the left. So you'll have some posing options there. Now in terms of aesthetics, we know this guy's really good. I still hold, and I said this in the Joker review, and it's not a fatal flaw, it's just something to note. They could have broader chests and slightly wider shoulders. They're going for a much more realistic look, I think, which is fine. For me, I prefer my superheroes a little bit extra bulky across the shoulders, but it's not a big deal. You can kind of see how his hips and thighs are, well, obviously the thighs would be, but the hips and basically the entire torso is one thickness up and down. So I would just like it to pop out just a little bit, but again, it's not a big deal. It's just something that I think would make them a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. It looks to me like the abs, again, kind of could be a little bit narrower, but that's not a real big deal. So in terms of articulation, the head is on a ball peg. Doesn't have the best range to look up. It definitely could be better, but it's not terrible. It can look down a little bit. You don't have huge posing options there, but it is possible to move it. It can lean a little bit. He seems to have a little bit of a stiffer neck joint, a little bit less range, but it's not bad. It's definitely enough to put him in a pretty cool pose, and I think you'll be okay with that. For the shoulders, we have the ball hinge. It doesn't go quite horizontal, but it's not bad. It's definitely good enough, and of course it rotates all the way around, and you have your bicep swivel, so no problems there. Double jointed elbow. It is a little bit more limited because he's a little bulky, but it's okay. You get at least 90, and you can probably finagle it to get slightly better, so that's all right. You do have a swivel here just because the arms are interchangeable, and of course you have it at the hand also because the hands are interchangeable, and each hand has a small hinge on there, so you'll have some posing options like that. For the torso, now, I still hold that the torso articulation needs to be reworked, and you'll see why. We have a swivel here. It looks like a diaphragm, like a ball peg maybe, but it is really just a swivel. You might be able to get it to smudge side to side just a little bit, or nudge, not smudge, but really it's just a rotation. And that's okay, but I would much rather have the rotation underneath the ab crunch, and I'll show you why. Again, similar to my 12-inch Spider-Man review, it's more anatomically realistic. We have our hinge down here, which does let him lean back a little bit and lean forward just a little bit. You can see it doesn't have the best range, but it's enough. And for the diaphragm joint, it seems to give a little bit of play, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's technically a ball peg, it just doesn't have much range. Now here's the thing. When a human leans forward, they can lean forward and to the side at the same time. With this type of joint, you can't do that. You can only lean him forward and then rotate him, kind of like a propeller if his arms were out. You see what I mean? So if you were able to rotate him down here and then use the ab crunch, you could lean him to the side a little bit. So it's a little bit more practical, but this is okay. It's not terrible, it just could be better. Now for the hips, we have the hinged ball pegs, which is so great to see on a domestic figure. They still don't provide the best range, surprisingly enough, because of how thick his thighs are. Luckily, it looks really good, so that kind of makes up for it. You can get the legs all the way out to the side, no problem. Bringing them forward, it comes out, but it's a little bit at an angle, so it's not 100% ideal. You do get a little bit of a thigh swivel at that ball peg, but it's still pretty minimal. Double jointed knees have really all the range you could want, so that's a good thing. And just like Joker, I have to note, his knees are a slightly different color than the rest of the legs. I'm not sure if they're doing that intentionally, but it's something to note. Now he is missing one piece of articulation that the Joker had, and that is the additional swivel in the ankle. But we do have our standard hinge, which works really well, and our now standard ankle rocker peg, which is effective enough. So all in all, this guy is a really cool looking figure. Sure, he could be a little bit better in a few places, but I think everything that is good on him more than makes up for the downsides. So I think you guys should probably pick him up. He looks really cool, and I am happy to have him. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.